Hi Internet, I'm super excited to be in your ears today. Again for an episode of Evolve with Titans, where I sit with one of the best achievers in different fields and pick their brains and get to know how they did what they did and see if there is any learnings that I can take out and also share it with you. So today is a very interesting Titan. He is fully passionate about films, and so he started a brand called Filmy, which is India's one of the top merchandise for films. From being a student entrepreneurial idea with friends to becoming a brand that worked with companies like CSK, RRR, and many more popular films, we're going to talk about Raunaq's journey in creating this brand Filmy. Hey Ronak, welcome. I'm super excited to have you here in the show, and because you are one of the when we sat and put the list of exciting people doing exciting things in Chennai, your name came up multiple times, especially when pop culture, doing creative things with the pop culture was very different in India. You picked it up and are doing amazingly well with.
Thank you so much.
So I wanted dive deep and start with a deeper question. How are we, like Indians, very connected to films? Like our politics is based on films. We live our life from films, and we are so intertwined with film and filming personalities and all that. How did this culture start? Have you ever thought about it?
See, I can't speak for everyone else, right? I can speak for myself. So I think that reflects a majority of the population. Like example, when we were small, right? Like I was born exactly in 1990, so I grew up in the 90s. And that time there was no OTT, there was no so many other different forms of entertainment. The only thing that we had was films. Theaters were like temples for us, and then whenever there used to be like maybe few 5-10 channels on the TV. I think cable itself came sometime in the 90s only. So that time I remember, like, this is something that my family keeps telling me. There were few songs that used to play on TV. Like example, there was Rajnikant's one particular song from, I don't know which, I think from Yajaman or something like that. Only if that song played would I eat, otherwise I won't eat. So that was one constant thing for me. And the entire childhood that I had, everything is shaped by movies. Like for example, I can speak Hindi today mainly because I watched Hindi movies, and that's because my parents, both of them were in a government bank. They used to work for a government bank. So obviously when you work for that, you get transferred a lot. If you spend your entire life in Tamil Nadu, there are very less chances that you can speak Hindi, right? We have like a kind of, I don't want to get political with this, but there is this thing against Hindi, or Hindi people have against us. I don't know what it is, but we don't speak Hindi. Tamil is like our pride. So if I were to get transferred, I need to have some kind of this thing. Like I need to know at least a little bit of Hindi. So what my mom would do was that when we were like 6 or 7 years old, from that time itself, actually even before that, she would make sure that in 1 month, at least 2 movies, like we used to go for a film every week, every Friday, Saturday or something. At least 2 movies every month would be Hindi movies. Like that's what we were brought up on, like Amir Khan movies, especially Shah Rukh Khan movies. So there was this Melody Theatre, which is close by over here. She used to take us there. We used to watch films like Yes Boss, all of that. We didn't know what was going on, but slowly we started picking up Hindi words. So by the time we moved, which was 98, we moved from Chennai to Guwahati in Assam, like completely disconnected, completely new world. I had no idea about what that place is also. That time I was like 7-8 years old or something. The only thing that saved me from extra bullying was that I knew a little bit of Hindi. Otherwise, you know, when you move outside, they call you, how do you say?
Madrasi.
Madrasi, yeah. That's one of the nicest things that they can say. They troll you based on your skin color, based on different things, and you can't blame them. They're also kids. They also been brought up by the same society and stuff. So after Guwahati, we moved to Bombay. So this is one thing that I just remembered like last week. The thing is, when you're away from movies, right? In the sense, you're away from Tamil movies when you're in Bombay or any northern place. The only access you have is through VCDs, that too the 30 VCDs that you used to get. So what my uncle would do, who was here, every 3 or 4 months, he would make a box for us. He would go to Burma Bazaar, he would get like, give me all the latest films that you have. He'll make like this care package kind of a box of 20, 30 films, and then he would send it to us, and we'd spend the next 4 to 5 months just watching those films, mainly Tamil films and everything. At that point, of course, there was no Netflix, nothing. So I realized that there were people in my colony. I used to stay in this government colony. So there were other people also who didn't have much access to films. There were a lot of Tamils, there were a lot of Malayalis, and then a lot of people also wanted to watch English films which were not released in India. I used to get these CDs, and then at that point of time, I was like 10 or 11 years old. I started my own video library. So I used to go door to door. I made like a list of films that I had, and I used to go door to door saying that you want this movie, I got it. So I'd charge like 5 or 10 rupees, I'll give it to them. I'll collect it back after, like a couple of days or something. Some people would want it for longer, so I'll charge them a little extra, all of that stuff. So at every single point of my life, I don't know, like now, a lot of my friends, they don't get why I am so obsessed with films, but that's part of, kind of like part of my DNA. It's been there. Movies have been part of every single point of my life. So I guess, yeah, it's like an undetachable part of me. And I'm sure that is the same thing with so many people, right?
Yeah,
There's
we
so
all
many
have stories related to movies, and how do we connect with movies, right?
Yeah.
So from that kid was giving out the CDs and all that, to fully filming, how did this happen? What is the journey?
Yeah, that's a very, very long gap, because
I also know you would have told this story many times, but tell it in such a way that you're telling it to a 5-year-old. How will the story be?
Especially when we were 5 years old, right? We have these dreams, like everyone would ask us, our parents, our relatives, everyone would ask you one simple question: what do you want to be when you grow up? So when you're small, you will answer things like cricketer, astronaut, and different stuff like this. But as you grow older, all of that stuff just vanishes. So I think in some way, I am still that 5-year-old kid, like who was obsessed with one thing and didn't let go of that, long after. In the middle, I got diverted into IT, all of that stuff. But I'm one of the first, entrepreneurs of my family. Everyone else is either into government service, or they are doctors, or stuff like that. So I don't remember going to school much in 11th and 12th. I remember going to which theater, where I sat, how much time I spent in Iga, Anu Iga, all of those theaters, Satyam, all of that stuff. So at some point we realized that this is not going to work out in the long run. Let's do something of our own. So at multiple points, me and Anand wanted to start. There was one point where we wanted to start a video game parlor, because we were obsessed with, there was a time in school, you used to have these PlayStation parlors. Yeah, we all used to play Raw versus SmackDown, and Here Comes the Pain, all of that stuff. So we were so obsessed that we wanted to start that of our own. So when we were in 10th or 11th itself, we went looking for these places like where we could rent out and then start our own thing. Unfortunately, kaas illa, so we didn't have anything. Then we realized that, okay, it's too early. Again, we tried starting something in college, where the first idea of Fully Filmy was there, in the sense. So this was a scenario, like, are you into sports? What sports do you like?
I used to love cricket.
So, okay, as a cricket fan, when you were in college and all of that, you used to get cricket jerseys, right? India team jersey you used to get everywhere, right?
But similarly, it used to be very rare.
Very rare.
Very rare.
But if you go to some sports shop, you'll get that Sahara jersey, all of that stuff you'll get easily. If you are a football fan, you'll get official Arsenal, Manchester United, all of that stuff you'll get, and even in the black market, right? Even if you were into music, like I was into rock music for a very big part of my life. If I love bands like Metallica, Linkin Park and all of that, there's this shop where I used to get these band t-shirts and all of that. So Anand was obsessed with sports, I liked music, but one thing I liked more than anything else was movies. So I was thinking, if you get like t-shirts and merchandise of everything else, I tried to get something for movies, like if I like Spielberg or if I like Rajni also. I tried searching, but I couldn't get anything like that. You either had to try to get someone to design it and then go to some printing shop and get it, or if you want like Spielberg, Marvel, all of that kind of stuff, you would ask someone in the US, if you had some friend or relative in the US, to somehow get it for you. So we saw like a gap where we could create merchandise for movie fans like us. So like every idea starts with solving your own problem, right? That's
so
what we
was
did.
it a problem solving, or was it something to do with I have to do something for the pop culture? You really thought when you started it was problem solving, like
Problem solving, this is my own problem. I'm not solving world hunger or poverty or anything.
No,
else.
I understand, but it was solving your problem.
Yeah, 100%.
So in that, right, how did this 5-year-old come back in this process? The 5-year-old with thoughts on movies and all that, and then in between you went into IT and schools and stuff. How did you think? Have you ever thought what made you go back to that 5-year-old with the same passion and same interest?
That's the thing, right? For a lot of people, they lose their inner child. In the sense they forget who they used to be.
We all do, right?
Yeah.
Because the system, society, parents, everything is behind that.
Yeah. And over time you forget
Yes.
who you used to be. But for me that never happened, fortunately.
Have you ever thought why? How?
I don't know, like, see, there's one thing that I do when I'm free, right? In the sense, so I'm like an introvert, okay? When college, even otherwise, I make videos, I talk to people, I have my own team, all of that is there. But that is my work, I have to do that. But actually I'm an introvert. So most of the time I'm consumed by my own thoughts. And when I'm free, I'm not sitting free, I'm always thinking of something. Or I'm constantly doodling, I do a lot of doodling. It'll be nonsense, but it's still doodling. And I realized that this is the same thing that I used to do when I was 3, 5, 7, 8, 15, 16, during college. So that thing has been like constant. So I know that that child is still there. And in the middle, I tried to get away from that child. But so what happened was when I got placed after 2012, when I passed out of college, I got placed in an IT company in TCS. I spent 3 months in TCS and I got placed in like a project. I used to travel all the way from here to Siriseri, which was like 50, 55 kilometers or something on the bike. You get a lot of time to think, right? What is going on with my life? What am I doing? Why am I wasting time? It's not like I'm better than this or anything. I am not made for this. There are a lot of people who do it really well, but why should I spend my time and energy doing something that I don't love? So when you get a lot of time to think, that child starts coming back and he starts asking you questions, and after a point you can't stay silent. And that volume slowly starts increasing in your head. That was the time I decided to quit my job.
So I want to go a little deeper in that thing.
Yeah.
It happened for me also, right? Like I used to be really good with drawing as a child, but it disappeared. I didn't know what happened, and then later it came back very later in my life, right? Is it because we are pushed to find our inner child with boredom, or is it because we have a lot of time? What is it?
I don't think it's
was it the boredom of the work that made you do it, or you had time to think. Finally, you were like away from all the disturbances. You had time to think. Then it brought you back to your interest.
I don't think it's just boredom, because it is not that this job is boring, so I won't do it. I can't do this. Like, in the sense, there are people who do this really well, and I know that I can do certain things really well.
But you had this realization before you.
Not in such a way.
At that time.
I can't articulate it at that time, but I knew that no, let's do something which you really like. You're going to fail, whatever it is. You're going to fail, make a lot of mistakes. Maybe you won't make as much money initially like your other friends in IT. They got placed quickly. But down the line, things will work out. To an extent, it has. And yeah, I don't think it's boredom. It's really that making the maximum use of the time you have over here.
That urge to do something different, right?
Yeah.
So now let's go to the fully Filmy and what happened and how did it come up to be a brand, to be a company?
Like I said, we identify that gap in the market, mainly that gap in my own life that I wanted to fill. This was during college sometime, 2010, 2011. Again, along with Anand, we went to Tirupur in the sense if we want to make t-shirts.
During college itself?
During college.
Okay.
So we went to Tirupur and the thing is, the first question when you go to Tirupur or any kind of factory and you say you want to start a business, this was, e-commerce was not a very big thing back in 2011, hardly anything, right? So when you go, the first question they ask you, what is your minimum order? Okay. What is the minimum? We said 50, 100, like kindly get out. Okay, so we realized that, okay, this is too early. If you need to get like a higher order quantity, you need to have more money. You need to have more experience in terms of how to plan your stock, all of that kind of stuff. So we realized we had no experience. So we put a pause on that. We thought we'll get some experience. After TCS, we joined this company.
So you put a pause there and then went through the regular thing, got into TCS, and then you...
Yeah, after TCS, so I realized that I can't do TCS, I can't do IT. I was really drawn to advertising. We've all grown up on these legendary ads from the 90s. So I wanted to be part of that. I couldn't be part of traditional advertising, but I got into digital advertising. I wanted to do things which could elicit a reaction from someone, right? That's basically what digital marketing is. You either create designs or you create some kind of ad which makes someone take an action. That's basically what advertising is. So I applied to, after TCS, my mom had kind of given up on me and she was like, I don't know what you're going to do. Fine, you take 1 month. I asked for some time, just give me 2 months, I'll figure it out. Okay, fine. I was just continuously applying to different companies. I would have applied to 40, 50 ad agencies around India. I got a reply from like maybe 10 of them. 5 of them actually called me for an interview. 3 or 2 shortlisted, and then I got 1 job in Pune. Like this was in a city, again, I've never been to, but I went to Pune, relocated to Pune. This was a small company somewhere on the outskirts of Pune. But it was, for the first time in my life, I knew what I was doing. Like the assignment was, you have to write a blog about this college, right? There was one college that was the client, and oh, writing, this comes naturally. I started writing, and then they liked the work. Got more and more and more of that. I was also proficient with Photoshop to an extent. So I used to create like a lot of designs on my own. There was a point I had my own Facebook page, like I had my own photography page, inspired by people like you, Rohit Sabu, all of those people. I started back then, created a lot of photos. So during college, I took a lot of photos, created a lot of designs. That was what got me these jobs, right? I built like a portfolio. And after 3 months, I came back to Chennai just for a vacation. But I was feeling like really homesick. For the first time, I've been away and all that. Applied for a job here. During that time, I got 1 job. So I had to quit that, come here. Next 2 years, I spent in that company, which is where Anand also was in TCS. So the story goes in a lot non-linear fashion, right? So Anand was in TCS. Anand also was very confused about what he wanted to do. So I was like, why don't you join this company? So he joined as like business development. I was into social media. We met our 3rd would-be co-founder, who was Karthikeyan. He was like a designer, like a senior designer over there. Down the line, we used to take a lot of tea breaks. Okay, there was 2 breaks during the day, like 10:30 and then around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the evening. So me, Anand and Seon used to go for tea breaks, and then we were wondering what is happening during work and all of that. Then the topic of what is next came up. This was after 1 year, 1.5 years of being in the company. What is next came up. And then that idea which we had resurfaces. So slowly our tea break started getting a little longer, right? 10 minutes became 15, 20, half an hour. And then our bosses were like, what are you guys doing? Like, you come back and do work. So we'd complete enough work before so that we could take longer tea breaks and all that. So during this time, okay, we thought, let's start something like, I used to do minimal posters. Like, I used to design a lot of minimal posters before, like for Bollywood films. So I told Karthikeyan, let's do this for Collywood films. So we started this Facebook page called Minimal Collywood Posters, where we would do just that. We would take films from the past and then we would create minimal versions of it. At that time, Facebook's organic reach was like really high, and also that not many people were doing that. So it was something new for the Tamil audience. Immediately, like within 1 month of starting this, we started getting published in different newspapers and everything. This was late 2014, right? And within a short span of time, we got around 1.5 lakh followers on Facebook. This, our bosses started taking notice, like, what is this that you're doing? And then we were like, no, we actually want to start something. So, yeah, we decided to quit after some time. So what happened was that Facebook page became like a fan base. So we got that Fully Filmy idea back. We always wanted to do that, but this was like a testing, whether we could create a fan base or not. Once that fan base was created, we asked our fan base like a very simple question, like, if we created merchandise of, you know, Tamil films and everything, would you guys be interested? There were like 1,500 comments. Everything was like yes. Everything was like positive. Everyone was like putting that "shut up and take my money" meme in the comments and everything. So we got like validation, and we were like, okay, let's start.
So there are two things here, Raunaq. One is, in a way, this is like a student entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
This idea came up when you were a student, but you didn't have. But then you went and dabbled on many things for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
So was those 3 years in a way helpful for you? And the next thing is, how important was this building the community, even before starting the idea?
After school, after I passed out of school, I wanted to actually do Viscom because I wanted to get into the creative space before itself. But obviously, like every traditional mom, my mom would say that do engineering first and then do anything else later. So by mistake, I got like this chance of, how do you say, I got a seat in SRM. Like I cleared the entrance. I have no idea how. That's one of the biggest mysteries in my life. I got a seat like that. So I thought those 4 years would be hell. It was. But because I went through that hell of that monotony, I started doing a lot of other things. In the sense that during those 4 years of my college life was when I started taking pictures. I started designing a lot. Like I learned Photoshop. I created graphic designs and everything. I started writing a lot. So without me knowing, during those 4 years, I had built like a portfolio. That's what got me this job. So the next thing, you're talking about those 3 years, where we dabbled in a lot of different things and all that. Or you try a lot of different things, and then when you choose one thing, the learnings of everything else will come into, getting better at your craft. You become more versatile. Your perspective, your everything starts changing, right? I think for me, those 3 years were like that. Like, you have to try a lot of different things. In the middle, you meet a lot of different people. You start to understand human behavior a little bit. That goes into forming that community that you spoke about, right? How important is a community? Like, I wouldn't be here if not for that community, right? The community is everything. A lot of companies look at people as numbers, but for us, it's like all about that community. So 100%, if it wasn't for that, then I really wouldn't be here. And
so take me to that journey. Like you started a merchandise company, right? So this was a student entrepreneurship. You got this idea in college, and then you went out, and then again reconvened, and you guys started this merchandise thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
From there, selling T-shirts and other merchandise, how did you get to the like a social media company, like a YouTube
Right.
video making company?
Right. So we launched Fully Filmy as an online store in 2015, June. So it was just 3 of us, me, Anand and Karthikeyan. So I used to come up with the ideas. Karthikeyan would convert them into designs. Anand would take care of the financial business part, planning this thing, whatever. all the orders that came in every day, all of us used to sit down and then pack it and then go to our courier partner, give it to them, and this used to be our thing. So we did this for like 6 months. We realized that we can't be doing this like just 3 people forever, right? So we were working with this client like during the end of our previous company, right? We were working with this client who really liked our work and who really liked minimal Collywood posters also. And he was following our work for like 1 year. And late in 2015, he said, "Why don't I join you guys?" So he came aboard as like like an angel, like a partner. And so early 2016, we started expanding. In the sense, we got more designers, we got more social media people. We started getting people who actually loved the brand, like who were introduced to Fully Filmy, and they wanted to be a part of it. So everyone was like 18 to 22. There was no one older than that except us. We were around 25. So all young people trying to do different things. And one thing led to another, and we thought that, okay, we have this much budget for Facebook ads, because if you want to run a business now, you have to put ads, or you have to do something else. Okay. So that something else was what led to the YouTube channel. In the sense, we have these products, this audience likes it, we want more people to get to know about Fully Filmy. So we thought, why not use content as a way to position this brand? Because Fully Filmy is it's a simple, relatable name. It says everything in like just 2 words. So we thought we should cover people who are related to the film industry, or not just big actors, celebrities, people who are reviewers, film critics, spot boys, lightmen, all of these people, like everyone connected to the film industry. So we started with interviews, right? We would interview, our first interview was It Is Prashant, who is like a very popular YouTube reviewer now, but that time was just after he started a little bit. After a few interviews, like after maybe 15, 20 interviews, that became, that had a fan base of its own, just like minimal Collywood posters, because content is a very easy customer acquisition tool. Like if I want to put like technical terms to it, it's a way of attracting an audience. It's a way of getting people to know about what you really do. But after one point, that became so famous that people started calling Fully Filmy a YouTube channel, which at one point it kind of worked me. Like we started one thing that was doing its sales, that is fine. But why are people calling a YouTube channel? Then now I realize that it's okay. People can
call you anything.
Call us anything. As long as they love the brand, they will get to know. Example, if you watch a Fully Filmy video, okay, our interviews are very different from other interviews, in which we really get like a casual, candid kind of a tone, as opposed to other interviews where they put celebrities on like a pedestal, right? How are you so great? How was this experience? Please tell us this and all. It's not like that. We have respect for their work, but at the same time, we want fans to get like a side that they've not seen before. So that's why our interviews became a hit. So when you watch our interview, it gets kind of ingrained in your head when you watch like 4 or 5 interviews. And then suppose you're going out today, you're going out with your family or with your friends, you're going into the mall, and then you see like a Fully Filmy store. That connect happens. Yeah. You will be much more likely to walk into the store after watching these interviews and videos and our content than like without watching all of that. Or if you see a Fully Filmy ad, you're like, oh, let's see what this is. So that becomes like a strong connect. That's why we started. It went really well for 2 or 3 years. Then we started getting a little, how do you say, we thought we should talk beyond films. Okay, we made a, well, I won't say it's a mistake. Okay, let's call it a mistake. Okay, so we thought we should talk about other issues like social issues and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know. So because that climate was like that. Okay. So we, in the beginning, we started talking about women's empowerment. Like example, we made this fully animated short film called DSCSK. A lot of people would have seen it. It has, it came on all the networks and everything. So we started doing more of that, but that wasn't sustainable. That wasn't as sustainable as interviews.
Because the production cost and
production
all
cost,
up, right?
Yeah. So DSCSK took 30, 40 days to make. There was another animation project that we did in which, like example, this is the space, this is the floor. This was what the frame of the video would be. The floor is the video, and then on top you have like a camera. And we made like a stop motion animation using clothes.
Amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, but it didn't get as many views. And of course, that took many, like 20 days with the entire team working.
I bet.
Right? So that gets noticed, that is fine. But you can't do that consistently unless you have a lot of funding and everything. So we got a little, how do you say, diverted. And then we had to pause that.
So Raunaq, I myself have this thing, right? Like, so what happens is we start something with passion, and then we become popular at it. We become a little successful at it, and then we also think that okay, we are now the torch bearers, and we'll do this, we'll talk about this, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And then it becomes I'll create revolution through art. And
Yeah. Biggest mistake.
What can you tell us about that mistake, right? What did you learn from that mistake?
Two things. One thing is, don't take yourself so seriously. Okay, you are not some big revolutionary or some crusader of social issues and everything like that. You started one thing, people like it. Do more of that and try to improve little with everything, and try to how do you say, give more to that community. If you give them something else, it's like you love eating how do you say, rasam sadam. Okay, you've eaten rasam sadam for like 15-20 years. Suddenly you give them like aglio olio pasta and all that. Taste is a little bit different. Okay, once they can try something different, but tiruppi ade kuduthirunda, like people won't like it.
Is it also because the way we are, we also expect our movie actors to be really good. We also idealize people, and we also ask them. So we don't expect them to just come and act and go, right? We also expect them to have opinions on things.
Yeah.
Anybody, right? Even our friends.
Kind of.
Culturally.
Kind of, yeah. But you're saying about the social angle.
Right, because I see this everywhere, right? 2-3 years they would have gotten into photography. Suddenly they'll forget about photography, and then they'll take up this course and do it. My thing is, hey, you are a photographer, do your photography, right? All the other things, there are other people with opinions, with experience, and with other things to do. It is not your job. At least now it's not your job. Become really good at photography.
Yeah.
So,
so I have another backstory for that. Okay, so this was 2006. So I watched this film along with my friends, which kind of changed everything for me. Like until then, films were like entertainment for me. Like it was something that I grew up on, was very close to me. After that was a point that point was which changed everything in terms of like I wanted to be part of films in some way. Like I wanted to make somehow be connected to films. That film was Rang De Basanti. I hope you watched it. Yeah. So actually, a lot of like really young people, they don't know about Rang De Basanti also. It's okay, that's fine. But that film is basically about what? You're in this country, you complain constantly about this country. So there are two choices. You either leave the country, go to some other country which is much more comfortable, or you stop complaining and you start changing things in the middle. That was very, very deeply ingrained in me for a very long time. Anyway, down the line, like all of these years later, I realized that, okay, there's this fan base. Now, let's use that fan base to create some kind of awareness. Especially when you're on Twitter and all of that, right? There's this thing called, you get to know about so many issues. Right. When we were growing up, we didn't have the internet. So the only problem we knew was that there's no chocolate today, or, school nalig leave irukuma illaya, whether it's raining or not, or, when we fail in our exams, whatever, that's our problems. We don't know about other problems. Now, everyone knows about everything. Everyone has, the world has opened up. So you also have the opportunity to put your opinion on everything. And I used to do that, like get angry unnecessarily and then, react to everything. But what is the point? Like you're not solving anything. There is too many issues to take care of. The best thing you can do is, within your own circle, pick an issue, fight that battle and then go forward.
Yes.
If you want to put your energy in everything, then you don't have any energy for yourself.
And also,
You'll
in
be
a
drained.
way, right, by doing it, we are actually not helping the problem. We are actually working against the problem.
Kind of, yeah.
The entire society and entire system is now going in a direction. Oh, you have to have opinions in everything. You just have to reshare things that are. By resharing, you're not doing anything.
Yeah. And in 1 week you forget it.
Yeah.
Move to the next.
Not
issue.
1 week. The next story is something else, right?
Yeah.
So, so now I want to go back to this video making company or video making period of your journey, and how was the balance, right? Like, see, we run something called big short films. And big short films is basically short films with big impact. We pick up things that should be told out to the world, and then we make short films about it. Put a lot of effort, all that, we'll end up with 10,000, 20,000 views, right? And then we'll see some random video hitting millions and millions of views. So there is always this war between, should we do for views? Should we do for content?
Yeah.
I'm sure Fully Filmy had that, because the type of videos that you're making were all like that, right? So how did you balance, or what are the things that you learned from that?
Again,
because like you said, that stop motion, the effort that I just can't imagine the effort that you went into it, right? But then that was way lesser than any other like random interview or something. So
I'll talk about the impact of that particular short film, right? So when we did it, I was 28 by then. Until then, I've seen a lot of rejection in life. Okay, like from job interviews to, and when you're working in like a digital media agency, you bring so many pitches, and your bosses say no all the time. So over time, you develop like a thick skin. But the thing is, all of those people, other people who worked in that team, everyone is between 18 to 21, maximum 23. They just finished college and entering life, and they got this chance to do something amazing. Do all of us sitting together day and night, making Maggie in the kitchen, and then having with the rest of the team and working through the night, like 12-4. No one slept. Like we used to take shifts and stuff like that. When they see that this didn't get more than, how do you say it? I think it got 200K views or something. That was less for us, because before that we had seen 2 million, 3 million, 4 million and all of that stuff. They took it very personally, right? It really impacts you when you're really young. So after that, everyone's spirit kind of died down. So if you're into that, you have to like I said, you have to completely commit yourself. But to completely commit yourself as someone who runs a team, I have to have that much financial backing, right? I have to have a separate content budget. It wasn't sustainable, and that's what I realized. Like, if you really want to do something, commit, go all in, or don't do it, or try it out, learn. Like now, I can tell you that I made this mistake, and this is what I learned.
So now, to look back and go to that team, what would you tell that team who were dejected?
I told that time itself, this is very normal. This is like part of life. We have to move on to the next one. We have to just move on to the next video. That's it. But I can only convince them to a certain extent, right? Otherwise, like, they'll be dejected. They'll be constantly talking about that only.
Do you have any specific exercise, or do you have anything that you, like a ritual that you constantly do to nurture your either creativity, nurture your ideation process, or your entrepreneurship?
Couple of simple things. I read a lot. I pretty much read every night before sleeping. So that's how I fall asleep also. During the day, a lot of people don't know the social media platform called Pinterest, which is like one of the greatest gifts, greatest apps ever created. So Pinterest is basically based on your interest. It gives you a lot of inspirations and references. So once a day, I just go through that. You get to see a lot of different movie posters or graphic designs or ads, the best ads of the world, whatever, based on what you like, right? My basic philosophy is like, expose yourself to the greatest works that people have created. Down the line, some kind of seed remains in your DNA, and then that becomes something else. And I personally believe there's no such thing as originality. Like, everything is already done. What you're doing is like just another version of that. So don't think that, so this is one more thing when you're young, right? You think you have to create something original, otherwise we shouldn't do anything. No, the answer is doing a lot of things. Like trying your hand at different things, failing a lot, and then learning, making tiny improvements and all that. So that's what I do, expose myself to a lot of great works on Pinterest, or whether it's watching films or shows or a lot of documentaries. So I watch consume a lot of content, and that itself becomes my content, like which I put out. Like I have my own channel where I talk about a lot of different shows, movies, what I took away from that stuff. So that's as simple as that. I watch a lot of stuff, I create a lot of stuff. That's it.
So 5 books, 5 book recommendations you can give.
Oh wow. Yeah. One thing is Atomic Habits. There's a book called Atomic
James
Habits.
Clear.
Huh?
James Clear.
Yeah, James Clear. So that's basically about just making small, tiny changes and doing it consistently every day. That is one. Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It's the story of Nike. So much I related to that book. Like when, especially last 2 years when things were like very bad, I read that book and I realized that Nike is the biggest company in the world, and even they went through the same journey. So it's completely okay. You'll get up, pick yourself up, shut up and do your work. That's it. That is one. There's this book called No Rules Rules. It's about the work culture at Netflix. That is something that I want to accomplish someday. Like one simple thing is they don't have any vacation days. That doesn't mean they don't give out leave. It means that when you want to take vacation, you take vacation. You don't inform anyone. You have your own process. So like that's one culture I strive for. Someday we'll make it happen. Another story.
Did it work in India?
It can, but your processes have to be that tight, right? For us, it's not right now. It's all over the place. Right? So another story that's related to Netflix is That'll Never Work. So this is a book by the original founder of Netflix. Now the CEO is, I think, Reed Hastings. Reed Hastings, right? So this is by Mark Randolph, who actually came up with like 9,500 ideas, business ideas, and the idea number 96 or 98 was Netflix. The idea of a DVD rental, like online DVD rental, and that's what happened. So what it basically teaches you is that you have to, again, what I said, try a lot of different things, come up with a lot of ideas, execute it, learn from it, rather than preparing too much. Like, I'll do this at this time, don't think about all of that. Finally, I would say there's a book called Midnight Library. It's a fiction book. Okay, it's by, I'm very bad with names. You'll find it. Matt Haig. Yeah. Okay. Midnight Library is a book. So basic core of the book is that there's this girl who tries to commit suicide, but instead of dying, she lands up in this magical library in which there are thousands of books, like millions of books maybe, and each book is a different version of her life. She opens that and she becomes that person. And in the end, you realize that there is no point dreaming of becoming someone else, or, spoiler alert, but there's no point of dreaming of another life. Do the best with what you have. There is so much love in your own life. Gets a little bit melodramatic, but it really touches you. Whenever you're feeling like really down, that book like really touches you. So yeah, that's like 5 books I guess.
Nice, awesome, man. There's so many things we spoke, and I think I want to talk a lot more than this.
Yeah, it's meant all over the place. Yeah.
But we'll have to be definitely in touch and do something together.
100%.
And also have conversation like this every now and then.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for coming, and it is wonderful, really wonderful talking to you, Raunaq.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.